Hi y'all, Mona here. We're on the Mom Life with Mona, and I am your mom mentor, and I am here today to talk to you about adoption. I've had a lot of questions about adoption. Just to give you, I'm gonna stick my new handy dandy. I got a new microphone that my son and daughter-in-law bought me, so I want to have that ready. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, hey, how are y'all? If you have questions, you just type them in down at the bottom, and I'm going to answer all the questions that you have been wondering about adoption that you are afraid to ask anybody, because the people that would know, you don't really want them to be offended that you're asking these questions, but you're super curious. So just to give you a little background, I do have some experience in this area. I'm Mona Corwin. For those of you who don't know, I'm an author, a speaker, and I am a blogger over at the Balanced Mom Life, where we help moms find their calling, find their balance, and live their unique story. But today on the Mom Life show, we are going to be talking about adoption. I have 5 kids. Well, my husband and I have 5 kids, and 3 of them are adopted and 2 of them are biological. I'm going to give you a little background story so you kind of know that I might know what I'm talking about. I just might. My husband and I got married when we were young, as you have all seen on our Instagram, and you can follow me on Instagram over there at Mona Corwin, and you can kind of see all the things that are going on in Mona Corwin land. We got married and we decided to have a baby just right, 2 or 3 years after we got married. And his name was Brett. I got pregnant really super easy. And then 2 years later, we're like, oh, we're going to have another baby. And guess what happened? We didn't get pregnant right away. So back then, no one knew what was going on with all the infertility and such. So I spent 7 years going in and out of gynecologists' offices trying to have another baby. And it just wasn't happening. They couldn't find anything wrong with either one of us. We think we kind of know what was going on then. But anyway, so I know a lot about infertility, and I'd be happy to talk to the moms about infertility another day. But today we're talking about adoption, because guess what? We decided to adopt. After 7 years, we adopted our sweet little daughter, Mallory, and she was an infant adoption. It was a partially open adoption, and we love her sweet birth mom, as she was just precious as she could be. And anyway, so we adopted her, and then because I breastfed her, my hormones got changed and I got pregnant. And we got pregnant with our son, Max. And lots of you know Max. He's really precious too. He was a miracle baby, just to say the least. And then 7 years later, we had an interfamily adoption, and our daughter Molly came into our family, and she was 7. So we had a 7-year-old to bring in, and she had grown up in a really, really bad situation. Her mom struggled awful with drugs, and it was not a good situation for her at all. So there was a lot going on with that. So I have a lot to say about adopting an older child. And I'd love to answer all your questions about these things, because adoption is so amazingly wonderful. And then the third adoption happened a few years later. My husband, who we call the orphans and widows guy, because he's got a heart of gold. And he and Max went on a mission trip to the Amazon jungle, and they met Andresa. And so Andresa came to live with us, and they told us she was 12, but we're kind of thinking now she was more like 10. Anyways, she was an international adoption, and of course she's from the Amazon jungle, so she didn't look like us either. I've got a real funny story about her. One time, once she got here, I took her to Target, and she was telling me all about, she was trying to talk to me in Portuguese. And of course I couldn't speak Portuguese, so we used Google Translator. And I was checking out, and then all of a sudden the lady looked at Andresa and started speaking Spanish. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, she doesn't speak Spanish. She's actually speaks Portuguese. And she said, oh, are you her teacher? And I said, no, I'm her mother. And it didn't occur to me that she was like a different color, like she looked different than me, or that it seemed weird to anybody. So sometimes, you know, the Lord just puts things in your heart and you really don't know what you're doing until it's actually happened. I'm really excited about talking to you about the things about adoption. And they're on our website, not on the website, but on Facebook right now. We're going to be posting some things about adoption. And on Instagram, you can go over and look at pictures of my 3 daughters. I just posted it. I found one of their annual ones that they post, that they do. It's a piggyback one. It's really cute that they do together. And so I posted that. So let me just, again, for those of you that are hopping on, I'm Mona Corwin, and I am the mom mentor, and this is Mom Life with Mona, and it's a weekly Facebook Live, and we're going to talk about topics that you want to talk about. And everybody likes to have a mentor, even if like you're in insurance, they always say, go get the guy that's older, that's been in sales a really long time, go get him and have him teach you the ropes. Well, that doesn't always happen with motherhood. Well, honey, I'm here to tell you, I've been there, I've done that, and I'm coming back to be your mentor. And I may not be the hero of the story, you're the hero of your story, but I am an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'd be happy to answer all your questions. And you're in my kitchen, so welcome to my kitchen. I'm so glad that you're here. And I think this is going to be a really unique thing. So on Mondays, I think it'll be 3 o'clock, not sure. But it'll be on Mondays, and we'll be doing Mom Life with Mona, the mom mentor. So that's me. Okay, so the first question I'm going to answer is that I got a lot, and it can be hurtful if you are an adoptive mom. And if you are an adoptive mom, I want you just to get over it. Like, answer these people's questions. They may be asking questions because they'd like to adopt. So like, as much information as we can have and help them, then we need to do that. So adoptive moms, answer these questions. Okay, so the very first one that I always get is, do you think that you're going to be able to love your adopted baby as much as you will love your biological baby? Now, not everybody can speak to this. Not every adopted mom can speak to this, but I can. And I'm telling you that I had the same thoughts. And it kind of put off our adoption process for a while. The infertility process probably went way too long because we were thinking, how are we ever going to love a baby as much as we love Brett? Well, guess what? The second they put her in our arms, it was like love at first sight. I'm telling you, Mallory Corwin, someday y'all got to get me to tell this story that we call the Big Smile Day. And that's the day we got Mallory. It's an awesome story. But yeah, you really do. So all of you that are wondering if you can love an adopted baby as much as you can your own biological baby, the answer is yes. Because honestly, can you love a C-section baby as much as you can love a vaginal birth baby? Like, who even thinks about that? Like when you're changing diapers and you're taking them to school and they're sassing you and they're throwing up in the toilet, like you're not thinking about like, how did this kid get here? You might be thinking, why did I do this? But you're not going to be thinking how they got here. So the answer is no, you don't. It's a baby and it's a child and they need you, and the love that you get, even when you have challenges, are normal for just having kids. So the answer is yeah, you sure can. You can absolutely. Hi, Courtney. Welcome. I just saw that you liked my Facebook page. I'm so glad you did. No, I think it was Instagram. So you're interesting. Well, you just had a baby. You don't want to adopt a baby. I've questioned if I could love another child as much as I do my own 4 kids. Well, Courtney, your kids are all really little. You need to wait a while. But your heart's really big. So you probably will. If you wanted to adopt, you certainly could. All right, one of the other questions that's a big one. Hey, Jessica, welcome. Another question that I would get is, aren't you afraid the baby, oh no, I already did that one, sorry. This is live. Are you worried that the birth mother will come back and steal your baby? Friends, I just can't tell you how many times I've had this, because of course it would be a mother's worst nightmare that somebody would come and take your kid anyways. But the fact that there is somebody out there that would love them as much as you do, that, you know, it's a very logical question. And the truth is, I kind of thought about it, But because I had met the birth mothers, I didn't feel that way. So I think a partially open adoption helps a birth mother in this arena. But the other thing is, I think if a mother has had her baby and not chosen abortion, she already loves it enough that she knows what she's going to do, and when she does it, even though there's great sorrow, there's great satisfaction that she's done a really good thing. And she's had a long time to think about it. So I didn't worry about that. I was more afraid like the bad man down the street would come and take them. And I was much more comfortable with my older children than I was with Mallory. And it's probably just because I was young and a little more immature in my own emotions. So the answer is, yeah, you do think about it for a while, but not for very long. Okay, and is adoption the sad second choice? Okay, this one is like a big one because I saw it in my husband. He's kind of competitive, and so he thought, well, we're not giving up. We're not giving up. We're going to keep going. It'll happen next month. And I'm like, I cannot take one more of those shots. I can't put my feet in those stirrups one more time. I can't sit in that doctor's office with all those pregnant women, not one more day. You can't ask me to do it. And I just want my baby. I don't care where she comes from. I just want my baby. And he finally said, okay. Now for him, I think for a second it was going to be a sad second choice. But if you know Mallory and you know her daddy, you know that is not what happened. Not what happened at all. It is not a sad second choice. It's not the choice that God would have had. God would have preferred that I had all the babies that I wanted to have. And God would have preferred that Mallory would have had a mommy and daddy that could have taken care of her. But we live in a fallen world. But we have a God that's full of love, and he imparts his love into us. And because it's inside of us, then we can give it to others. It's a really great gift to be able to adopt anyways. But it's an amazing gift to be able to be part of what God does in adopting us. And we're adopted by him. And so that's a really great story, how that all works out biblically. But we're not doing the biblical stuff today. And then the other thing is, it ended up being that God's plan for Mallory to be in our family was perfect. It was perfectly placed, and it was perfectly wonderful. So although it felt like it was going to be a second choice, oh my gosh, the thought of not having Mallory in my family, like her not being my daughter, I can't imagine her being in another family or being somewhere else. I wouldn't be able to breathe. I wouldn't be able to breathe. So I'm sorry. I told myself I wasn't going to cry when I was talking about adoption. That's why I picked these hard questions. Adoption is an amazing thing. It's an amazing, amazing thing. You know what I think is the very coolest thing while we're answering these other questions? The very coolest thing is that when you look at your baby, when you look at your little boy or little girl, they don't look anything like you. Like nothing. You don't see like your bad traits or your big nose or your husband's mother, which I guess Stacy wouldn't mind that, right, Stace? But I mean, you don't see the things that you don't want to see. You only see them, like fully them, and they get to be fully who they are. And I think that's a really big plus of adoption. Okay, so another question that I get. If you guys have any questions that you've always wanted to answer, go ahead and put it down on the bottom. And if I don't see it, I will answer you online after, on Facebook after. Hey, Jessica. Yeah. Daddies are exactly like that. Oh, Jessica was our babysitter. Jessica, you were a babysitter. I totally forgot that. Jessica said, I remember when y'all would come home from dates and he'd go and get her even though she was asleep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And he's crazy mad about all of his kids. And yeah, that's not a problem. Second choice is not a problem. Okay, how much does it cost? People ask that a lot. It costs a lot. It costs a lot. It costs a lot no matter when you do it, and now it costs even more, but it costs a lot in your heart. like in the challenges that you have. And it costs a lot because you're stepping out in a way you didn't plan on stepping out. It costs a lot because you have to think about changing your idea of the way your life should go or your life was going to go. And it takes a lot to trust God that He will know exactly what baby is to be with you and how you're going to be able to handle that baby and the special gifts and talents that that baby has. So yeah, it costs a lot more than you think. And it's not just money. But the rewards are pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Okay. Let me see. I had another one that I thought, I guess that's it. That's the only ones that I had. So that's it. Hi, Amy. You know all about our adoption. I do want to tell you, another question that I get that I forgot to write down was older kid adoption. Is older kid adoption difficult? And some people stay away from it because they think, the kid's going to be like super weird and, come at me with a knife and all this other stuff. I mean, the stories that are on the news and on the media they're just sensationalism. Two of our daughters that were adopted, one was 7 and the other one was 10. And there is challenges, but the interesting thing is that they remember. So they remember, and that sometimes can be a blessing and sometimes cannot be. But honestly, they remember. They remember what it was like to be cold or hungry or mistreated. And as soon as they can trust you, however long that takes, there's different, there's different stats on that. For us, it was, I think Molly pretty much bonded quickly within a year to a year and a half. She really felt like she wanted to be part of the family. She would cuddle. She was trusting. Andreza took a little longer. I think she was a little older. And we had some she was super wounded too. But, there's counselors and there's prayer. And I hate to say love fixes it all. But girl, love kind of fixes it all. So I guess that's it. I love adoption. And I do love my biological boys, but I am so grateful that God gave me my sweet adopted little girls. I just don't think life would be very fun without all the nails and the dresses and all the fun things that went on. I want you to feel free to ask me any questions that you want about adoption or a mom life question in general. I'm your mom mentor, and I've dedicated my life to taking care of moms just like you. So until next Monday, I will see you, and it's the Mom Life with Mona on Mondays, and you can go to my Facebook page and you can go to Instagram, and I'm on there, and I just posted a picture of my girls on there, and you can see my family somewhere in there. And also at thebalancedmomlife.com, where I have lots of stuff that you can use. Anyways, that's it. Y'all have a really great week, and I will see you next week, little mama.